Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Aquarius Rising Africa, the third time today. Hope you guys aren't sick of me yet. Well, I must say the earlier show was a membership show, but yeah, nice to see you all again. And very, very happy to have an amazing new guest with me today, Michelle Melendez, who is the author of the Maui Land Grabs. I think sorry, Michelle, it's just the actual title has just slipped my mind now. But we're going to be talking about the Great Maui Land Grab, yes. And Michelle's written a book on that as well. And we're going to be speaking this evening or today about that. We're also going to be having future shows with her on other topics. Is there no sound? Can you hear me, Michelle?
On the screen. There it goes. Aloha. Can you hear me?
Hi,
Okay?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, Sian, I don't know what's going on there today, but I seem to be. Can anybody? Do I have sound issues? Can anyone else not hear me?
Can you hear me? I can
I
hear
can
you.
hear you.
Okay,
Okay.
good. There we go.
Okay, all right. Thank God for that. Nice to have you, Michelle. Nice to see you. Welcome to Aquarius Rising Africa. And I really look forward to hearing more about your book, The Great Maui Land Grab, today. And wow, it's amazing to me when we start delving into these topics, right? And we start seeing that it was never just about the fire, right? The recent fire. What was that, about 2 years ago now? And there was when Oprah and The Rock famously were asking everyone for contributions and pretending to be so aggrieved. But this has really been going on for the longest time, way back, even into the 1800s. So I would love for you to share that with our audience and obviously take us through the journey of the whole Hawaii Maui story. But tell us more about yourself first.
Well, aloha, everyone, and mahalo so much for having me. I'm a big fan of your show. I've watched it many times. So thanks for having me again. So yeah, my background, I've been my background is in fitness and wellness, and I've been a fitness trainer since 1996. My first book was End Dieting Hell: How to Find Peace in Your Body and Release the Weight. That won 4 awards. So it was, I've always been researching things. And when the fire happened in Maui, well, let me just back up just a little bit, because again, being a fitness and wellness trainer for 30 years, and I don't want to say too much about the COVID, because I've gotten myself striked up and down the wall speaking about that, because I started speaking out about it. So I protested. I went to the, let me just tell people what happened in Big Island from that, or Hawaii from that. We had 35% of our businesses shut down. I went to the police and I said, this mask doesn't help against a virus, but it's like a chain link fence against a mosquito. The officer told me, we know it's just the regular flu. I went to the hospital. I talked to an ambulance driver. He said, there's nothing happening here, and I'm not supposed to talk about it. I called our newspaper, because every single day we had on the front page of the paper, COVID cases, which doesn't even mean that you have any symptoms. And I said, why are you guys posting that on the front page of the paper every single day? And they said it's a paid advertisement, and they wouldn't tell me who was paying for it. So we were protesting every single week. And that was my start of excuse me, of researching and seeing what is going on here. And then when the fire hit, I knew something was wrong, especially when the Hawaii Governor Green, went to the United Nations and told the United Nations that it was because of climate change. And that is when I started really delving in, because first of all, why does a governor go to the United Nations to speak to them at all about anything. Like there's no reason for him to go, but he had an agenda. And so that's when I started looking into things. I researched, I interviewed a 50-year arborist, forensic arborist, and he said the trees that didn't burn should have, and the trees that should not have burned did. We have palm trees that I'll show you guys that didn't burn, but the house is disintegrated into white ash. The cars melted out, but the palm trees around the whole neighborhood are still standing up. And that just is not normal. So that's when I started really researching into what happened with the fire.
Why do you think, even though it was a fire, it doesn't matter what started, I would imagine that the trees would have been burnt either way. So why would you imagine that the palm trees didn't burn? What protected them?
Let me show you guys, and then I'll share why, because it is, when you see it, it's like, oh, what do you mean the trees didn't burn? But when you actually see it, this is Maui. So I'll show you Maui first. This is Maui here with, again, the houses are disintegrated. There's nothing left. And when you have a house fire, you usually have the refrigerator still there, the stove, the porcelain toilet, nothing's left. The car the engine is dissolved. The glass, glass melts a lot higher than a regular wildfire, but all the glass is gone. But all the palm trees are still standing there. This was, again, Maui 2023. It's 2.5 years later. But I want to show you this one here. This is Tubbs Fire in 2017, Tubbs Fire. This one is you can see the neighborhood. Like the neighborhood is gone. Where the road is, all of these houses are white ash. There's nothing left. But the heat dried up the pine leaves, the pine needles. The heat is what dried up all these trees, but it didn't even burn. Like these pine needles dried and not burned. And look, you still have the green ones over here. So all around the fire, the pine trees are all dried up, but they're not even burnt. These should be black sticks. That's what should be left. Black sticks. That's it. But they're all still there. Paradise. My mom lives 20 minutes from Paradise. I went up there after the Paradise fire, the California fire that happened, and that was in 2018. This one is a mobile home park. This is a mobile home park. Where did the fire come in from? I mean, did it come in from where the camera is filming? Took a picture. You can't even see where the fire came in. The only pine trees then they're still standing with their branches, but the pine needles are gone. But just inside the park. That's impossible, everybody. That is impossible. And then we have LA. When the reporter was talking about the fire, I'm like, how is she not saying the trees didn't burn? This is LA 2025. The trees, look at even that palm tree is still there. And these trees, the leaves are gone, but they should be sticks. Again, they should all be black sticks. So I'll kind of show you the next part. That's LA. But here are trees that burn from the inside out. So we have trees that don't burn, and then some that burn from the inside out. Tubbs Fire, 2017. Like nobody's saying anything. That the reporter on Channel 3, Sonoma County News, doesn't say, okay, how is a tree burning from the inside out? The only way a tree can burn from the inside out is lightning. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. And then here's Maui. This was on our. This was on their thumbnail on our channel. I think it's Channel 3 as well, in Maui for months, and now it's gone. This whole picture is gone. The whole image, you cannot find this image anymore. And then somebody sent me this from LA. How does a hole burn right through a tree? Like the hole is in the tree, right in the middle of the tree, but the tree doesn't burn. So that is what the people, what's going on with that? So the thing is people need to understand is there was a Direct Energy Weapons Acquisition Act passed through Congress in 2016. because check this out. This is insane. The Defense Department spent over $6 billion. It's written right here, $6 billion with the B, since the 1960s. Since the 1960s, the Defense Department spent over $6 billion and could not bring the direct energy weapons program to acquisition. So Congress took it over in 2016. And people's tax dollars finished off paying for it. Here is a microwave laser transmission using laser generated plasma beam waveguide. Microwave. So I'm going to do a stop screen. What happens when you put a chicken breast in a microwave? It doesn't fire. It doesn't catch fire. It heats. It from the inside, right? You get the water. The water is why the trees, we believe that's why the trees didn't burn, because they're organic material. They're organic. So they're not going to burn in a microwave. They're going to heat up the water though. So the trees, the arborist said, the trees that should not have burned had the most water. Those are the ones that were burning from the inside out. The water was burning. The water was somehow on fire, somehow burning. And that's why we believe that palm trees, pine.
Because water is a very good conductor of energy. I mean, energy moves through water 4 times faster than through air, actually. So it's a very, very good conductor. So whatever they're using, absolutely the water would have been used as a conductor then. That is so insane.
And we had 90, I think it was 90 something boats that burned in the harbor. 13 survived in the harbor. Interesting number, I thought.
But burning in the harbor.
They burned in the harbor. Yeah. And then and they said, oh, it's because of the sparks or whatever, the embers that came from they caught the boats on fire, a boat. And one of the boats that didn't burn was blue. So we can talk about the blue that didn't burn, because I'll show you guys pictures of that. This is insane. And I want to say thank you so much to Eric West, who he was the one that took these pictures. We would not have these pictures if it wasn't for him. He lives in Maui, and he went into the fire, into the burn zone the day after. So let me just show you this one, because this one is just nuts. This is a ticket, a paper ticket for a submarine ride. The only reason he saw this ticket in the white ash was because of that blue. It was sticking out. He pulled this out of the white ash. White ash was dropping off of this piece of paper. And this is the only thing that burned around this piece of paper was where the whale is. It's a whale submarine ride. And because the whales right here is what slightly burned, singed. The rest of the blue paper ticket's fine. Then he finds these cotton t-shirts. He actually auctioned these off to support the victims. There's like 6 blue cotton t-shirts that he found. Again, he shook them off. White ash is falling off. Chantel, no singe marks, no holes, nothing. These were completely intact, 100% fine. Look at this thing. This one in the corner is still folded. So this was in the building. Then you have, of course, the blue umbrellas that a lot of people heard about. All of these umbrellas should have some type of damage, but they don't have any. Even this wooden plank was singed. It's not even fully burnt. What was really burnt was a lot of the metal. But all of these umbrellas, fine, completely fine. This is somebody's pizza oven. Right next, I took this picture. Right next to me is the house that was just dissolved into white ash. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's like, this should have some type of scorchedness, but this one's my favorite. I said the ticket was, but this one is really it. I got this from a friend of mine who survived the fire. Her story is quite amazing. I'll share her story in a second. This is her stove. She went back to her house and saw the stove was completely damaged. The racks are warped. This is the glass that melted out.
Wow.
And you have blue, beautiful royal blue. There's nothing wrong with that color. It looks like it was just cleaned. So let me show you why we think that happened. And this is the laser again, the patent for the microwave transmission using laser generated plasma. It uses a titanium sapphire. So it uses a titanium sapphire crystal in the laser, and the color of sapphire is blue. So I actually researched a lot of different engineers and different scientists around why blue wouldn't burn, and they believe that it's because the blue frequency matches the blue laser, and it didn't absorb it repelled the energy. So everything else absorbed the laser and it
Wow.
repelled it because it's the same frequency.
Wow. That is, I mean, it makes perfect sense. You know, it absolutely makes perfect sense when you understand. And that is why we need people like you. And I mean, I love the fact that you just got into it when COVID began, right? You just got into it and said, absolutely, I smell a rat here. It's kind of
Well,
like what I did with the channel, right? I mean, you just can't ignore certain things.
that's right. That's right. And I just got so angry, especially with COVID. People don't understand their own human body, because like being a fitness trainer and wellness trainer, I was like, okay, hand sanitizer, you guys, hand sanitizer is poison for your microbiome. You need bacteria. Your body has more bacteria on and in your bacteria than you do cells of your body. It actually helps keep you healthy. So you're putting hand sanitizers, which is bacteria killing, on your hands. Then like you're eating a sandwich, it's going into your body. It's killing your microbiome. This is why so many people, one reason why so many people have gut issues. It's
Exactly.
microbiomes off. So I was angry that they were lying. I was like, I wanted to speak out. We actually took the Big Island police chief to we complained against him to the Board of Ethics, because check this out. This was so great. One of my friends on the other side of the island from me, her name is Hope Johnson. She actually wrote to the Maui police chief because on the mandates, because mandates are not laws, they're suggestions, they're not laws. Law has to be gone through by the legislative body. So and voted on, public testimony, all of it, that wasn't a law. So anyways, in the mandate from the governor, there's a section J in the exhibits, in the addendums, and it said that if you are medically exempt, you don't have to wear a mask, and you don't have to prove you're medically exempt because of HIPAA. It's against the law for people to ask you about your medical issues. So we were going into stores without masks on, and the cops came. So we had five officers come, and we were talking with them for like 20 minutes outside and back and forth and I said, oh, good, you guys are here. Oh, I forgot to tell you the most important part of this story is that our Hope Johnson sent a letter to the Maui police, to the Big Island police chief, and said, Exhibit J says we don't have to go in to a store with a mask on. Are you talking to business owners and telling them that it's okay to allow people in without a mask who are medically exempt? He wrote her back a letter that said, yes, officers are going into businesses and telling them that they can allow people in who are medically exempt. So I had that letter. So I gave that letter. I said, oh, good, you guys are here. Your police chief said you are going into businesses and telling them that people that are medically exempt can shop without a mask. So here's the letter from your boss. So thank you for so much. Go in and tell that person. So we're going back and forth, like debating. We finally leave. We took all of those police chiefs, those officers, and the police chief to the Board of Ethics. Had the letter. The Board of Ethics said we didn't have enough evidence. So, I mean, at least, but here's the thing. The police chief retired 2 months later. 2 months later, he retired. So I just want to say for your audience, stand up, speak out, don't comply. Don't comply, because we were 5 people and we took him to the Board of Ethics, and then he retires 2 months later. So what we wanted to happen with the Board of Ethics didn't happen, but he actually then retires. So
Something else did.
you just got to keep
Absolutely.
going.
That's why I say they collapse. You know, the minute that we decide that we're not taking their nonsense anymore and stand up, it's like their system collapses. We
That's
don't
right.
need to be violent. We don't need to do anything other than stand up for ourselves and say no. That's how that entire upper echelon collapses. And
Absolutely.
that's our power. That really is our power. And I
Yeah.
love that you used that example because that is so true. You know, and you know, God works in mysterious ways. That's the thing. You know, what you think you want to happen very often is not the thing that's going to happen, but it's good to get you in that direction so you can see, ah, that should happen instead. But you wouldn't have gotten there unless you'd gone there, right? So it's very important, as you say, stick together, stand up for ourselves, and absolutely say no.
That's right.
Um,
And I want to
I,
share one around that on that topic, because here on Big Island, and this is coming for all of us, your general plan. So what happened is in Maui is not that's not just for Maui. What's happening is they're changing legislation now to move toward the smart cities, and I'll share that information as well. But our Big Island general plan, we have been fighting against it for 2 years. We've been fighting against it because it says it wants to change important ag land. Most of our Big Island important ag land, it wants to change it to natural land. It wants to turn almost all, there's a few spots on the coast to conservation, no people, no farming, no building. So we've been fighting this for 2 years. We lost, but we lost in the county council. They voted for it. Still, we still can amend it, which we're working on now. But what we won was so many people started seeing what was going on. So many people. We had 70, and this is a lot for Big Island when nobody goes to these county council meetings. And we had 70 people live, hundreds of testimonies that were piling into the county council because we kept speaking out. So I just want to say, you guys, you got to look at your general plans of what's coming in your neighborhood, and you got to go to your county council. That's what's going on with these attacks, that they're giving them a reason to change the laws for their climate change agenda. And I can show you information on climate change as well.
That's so. I mean, it's been amazing. You know, we've recently, if you guys have been watching my drop-ins with Shanti, we recently did the sequel to The Fall of the Cabal, and they spoke a lot about that there as well, climate change and how it's been manipulated and orchestrated. And really, at the end of the day, you know, they've been doing it obviously artificially. But I also love that, you know, that kind of stuff they can only do to a certain point, and then God's hand takes over. You know, nature takes over, and there's nothing more powerful than nature at the end of the day. You mentioned I was, by the way, guys, if you want to grab hold of Michelle's book, The Great Maui Land Grab, all the details are in the description, but it's also on audiobooks, and I was listening to it on audiobooks as well. And you spoke about the mosquito poison or something. That
Yep.
and it's interesting because a couple of weeks ago I had Tiffany Anderson on. I'm not sure if you know her.
Sure. Well,
Who, yeah, oh wow, right. So, and she obviously, as you would know then, was involved with the companies that made these poisons and how they had to test all these poisons in the environment before they got to the mosquito larva killing poison kind of thing. That seems to me like it goes hand in hand, right?
yeah.
So maybe can you explain that to us a little bit?
Yeah, well, that's actually going on Maui. And so Maui, they're releasing millions of these injected Wolbachia injected mosquitoes. So they're not GMO mosquitoes, they're Wolbachia injected mosquitoes that are. So let me just tell you a little bit about Hawaii. When you come to Hawaii, you have to quarantine your pets for 3 months. You cannot bring any agriculture, even going island to island. You cannot. They check your luggage twice. When you go island to island, they check your bags twice. You have to put them through the scanner 2 different times. So it's intense here when they're not, they don't want to let things in. But these Wolbachia injected mosquitoes, they're allowing millions to come to being released in Maui. We pushed back so much. There was a court case, thanks to Tina Leah, who took them to court, and all we wanted was an environmental impact statement. That's a normal thing for new experiments. When they come in, they're supposed to do an full environmental impact statement. They did a partial one. And so what these Wolbachia injected mosquitoes did, and what their story was for them to release them, was they're going to save the native birds. The native birds in Hawaii are dying, and they're going to save the native birds. These Wolbachia injected mosquitoes from the bird flu. The bird flu is killing all these birds. And here, this is how not important that story is. In their own statements, they're not even testing to see if the release of all these mosquitoes is working to save the birds. It's actually not even part of the experiment. So the whole reason for the experiment is to save the birds, and they're not even testing to see if it's working. And that's what they actually state in their own documentation. So obviously it's not to save the native birds. This Wolbachia injected mosquito, what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to keep the females, the regular mosquitoes, from being able to reproduce their eggs. So that's why it's supposed to drop the mosquito population down. And the males, they're only supposed to release the males because the males don't bite you. The females do. But in their documentation, they have allowed to release, like, I can't remember how many hundreds of thousands of mosquitoes, females, by accident, because they know they're going to release by accident the female mosquitoes. And it's stated in their documentation. One female mosquito can lay, like, I can't remember the exact number right now, but a ton of eggs. So that's happening currently in Maui and Kauai, I believe. It hasn't come to Big Island. We're really working hard on stopping it. But yeah, then now there's this tick thing that's happening. And I have to go back to God. I have to go back to the infinite creator, and because the infinite creator, I feel like this world is a game. I don't think it's nothing real what we think it is. There is an infinite creator, and what we say here in Hawaii, our kuleana, what our job is when your heart calls you to do something, you do that. You follow your heart.
Yeah.
Because there's something that's greater that's here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fully. Absolutely, Puli. That's very true. So if they bite, like the females that bite, so that they accidentally release these female mosquitoes, are they also then intended to harm humans? Is there anything in their poison or their bite that's
what we don't know. That's exactly what we don't know. That's exactly what we're asking them to do an environmental impact statement on, and they're not doing. So they're allowing all of these injected. And here's the thing too. They don't even they're not testing to see if there's anything else that could have been injected into these mosquitoes. Like, again, Hawaii is strict when it comes to allowing different things in here. And so they're injecting these mosquitoes with Wolbachia bacteria, but somebody could easily inject them with something else, and they're not even being tested for any other thing they could be carrying.
This feels a bit like the COVID jab to me, just in a mosquito form.
That's exactly what it said. That's exactly what has been said.
That to me is what it feels like. And I've not heard anyone say that, but as you're speaking, it's like it's been bioengineered and laden with all sorts of chemicals and little miniature missiles in its body. And that really has and that's been weaponized, obviously it's being weaponized. I mean, that's just bloody shocking, actually. And as you say, the ticks as well. I know in Canada, they were dropping tons of ticks in the fields and things as well, literally destroying nature, the animals, livestock, right? the farmers or whatever are obviously going to suffer dearly because of that, and have to get more poisons to kill the ticks. So it just becomes one big fat infestation. Wow. It really is hell we're living in, right? This really is hell.
That's why I think this is some type of game for the spirit, because we've been working so hard. I can't even tell you, around this general plan. And it was such a gut punch when the county council voted for it. It was 3-6, 3 against it, or 3 against it, and 6 supported it. And it was such a gut punch. And it took me a while because I was angry and I was sad. But then I'm realizing, Michelle, this is a game. You just keep doing your part. Maybe your part is just to wake people up. And that's it, because this world has been reset numerous times. I mean, I'm writing another book. It's called The Hidden Cult of Governments, How the Devil Runs Nations and How to Stop Him. How to stop him is in your own heart, in your relationship with the divine creator, getting yourself secure with God, with your family, and also with nature, doing the best that we can, because in the end, we look at it, this world is not what we think it is. I mean, there's been mud floods that we can talk about, Tartaria that has been hidden. There's different things that are there's so much. And then the cult itself, which you've had Jesse on numerous times. And that is absolutely evil. That's why I think there is a light spark inside of each one of us. And we feel things. We haven't been told about what magnetism and what our heart is. Your heart has 40,000 neurons. It can think and remember. Your heart. This is why it's incredible. So
science has now proved that your heart has a brain, right? And the Buddhists have been saying that since forever. And they say lead with your heart, because when you understand the balance of the heart, then you can think with your heart as well. Your heart thinks, basically, and it's the most intelligent organ in your body.
And
it knows.
Absolutely. And the system wants us to be distracted. Be distracted. Look at your phone, scroll, and don't pay attention to your heart, your body. Your body's this is why they think they've tricked so many people into thinking that I got a flu shot once in my 30s, one time. And I remember afterwards thinking, why am I getting something that man-made injected into my body? Then, like, I think it was 90 days later, all of a sudden I'm allergic to all animals. I would sneeze, sniffles, and I'm like, what is going on? I had psoriasis. I got psoriasis that I finally healed after 15 years. And that was through detoxing. But that's what happened with my experience with that. And so we have not been told the truth about our human body, not just the body, but the frequency and the power of our heart, because this is why 6 feet, you guys, we couldn't be next to each other, because when we're touching and connecting, that's so much power. That's so much
power. Absolutely. That's so true. You said something interesting the other day as well when we were chatting about what's happened since the fires and the displaced victims of the fires.
Yeah.
What is happening there? Is it being, and here's actually just, I think it was Rui, wonder who the land baron for the Maui area is. I'll just pop that on. Deciding who burns and who rebuilds. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the question I have. What I'm asking is like, yeah, I'd love to know. I would love to see what happens to the guys in Albania, actually, right? When we're seeing in Albania now, absolutely refusing to sell their country anymore. And I mean, quite frankly, I would love to see the Hawaiians stand up against the government as well.
I would too. Sorry, go ahead.
Carry on.
There's a little bit of trauma, actually not a little bit, a lot of trauma here, because their Queen Liliuokalani, she was forced to abdicate the throne at gunpoint. And so so the Hawaiians, they lost, they did a war. It wasn't very big, but they tried and they lost. And I think there's a lot of trauma here from that, because having them standing up is a little bit challenging. But let me show you guys what happened. What did Maui look like after 15 months? 15 months. This was Maui. Nothing was hardly built still. So the people were put into camps, these camps, FEMA camps and the state camp, and there were actually incidences of deaths. I'll just say people have died in those camps. There's been 4 deaths that I personally know about, and they weren't really documented. They weren't reported to. From a friend of mine who lives there told me about this. She's a state representative, and she said that they weren't even reported to the police. And there was also a fire in the camps for the fire survivors, and the fire chief, in the report, he wrote unknown cause. And the state representative said, you cannot tell the fire survivors that there's an unknown cause of a fire in their camp. You have to give them something. But this is after 15 months, nothing's built. And now there has been things that are built, but the commercial downtown Lahaina, those buildings, as far as I know, they're still struggling with getting permits 2.5 years later, from my understanding. And I could be wrong about that, but I know 15 months they didn't have permits. But I do want to show you guys this is so disgusting. This is a 5-mile long dust screen, 12 feet high, that they put up around the entire perimeter of Lahaina. They say, oh, because of the contamination, we don't want the contamination to go into the ocean. And I asked a fire captain, I said, is it normal to put up a 5-mile long dust screen around a fire? He said, Michelle, nothing about this fire was normal. The guards that were posted, they were paid $40 an hour, and they were there 24 hours a day. And they would literally tell you when you went in, no pictures and no video. Why? Who cares? If this was a normal fire, who would care if you're taking a picture or a video? And so these guards were posted there and told that, and we're telling people that. Also, media wasn't allowed in for 30 days. Homeowners were not allowed back for 90 days. They actually kicked all the homeowners out after a few days and told them they couldn't come back for 90 days. So a lot of questions. I do want to show you guys this. I think it's that's the LA fire, but there's this one down here. The death toll. The death toll is a bouncing ball. It was absolutely ridiculous. 15 days after the fire, there was 1,100 missing people, and the death toll was 115. So that's 2 weeks. 2 weeks after the fire, 115, 1,100 missing. Then 38 days after the fire, there was 31 missing, and the death toll dropped to 97. Oh my gosh, I got to tell you about this in a second. 27 weeks after the fire, 0 missing. So nobody's missing. All the people that went into the water weren't missing. And the death toll was at 101. And the children, let me tell you about the children. So the children were out of school, and the governor even told his people when they were going in to recover bodies, you're probably going to find a lot of children because they're home alone. So, or home, in a keiki, a child, they're either with their auntie or their uncle or their grandparents, or they're home alone. And there was no siren. We have the best warning system in the world, and it was not turned on. And the reason was because the Maui Emergency Management Director said that he was worried people would run into the fire because it was for a tsunami. The warnings are for tsunamis. But I looked it up on their website. It didn't say tsunamis. It says disasters. It even said fire. It said tsunami, fire, other natural disasters. Turn the warning system on. They didn't turn it on. So they go in. They found 3 children. 3. And then I think I have it here as well. The Maui Hawaii Education Department, the education department showed that there was 3,001 children enrolled in the Lahaina Luna School District. That's the Lahaina school prior to the fire. After the fire, about 548 children re-enrolled, or they enrolled in a private school. There was 2,000 children that didn't re-enroll in any school. So there's two things there's actually more than two things that could happen. One, they something happened and all of them perished. There's some people that believe that they could have been taken out in buses. And the thing with my book is I wanted to make sure that I absolutely 100% had everything validated. That could have happened. Or the whole Hawaii Education Department was lying about the numbers to begin with, because they have that has happened in other places around the nation, with the education department lying about numbers. We don't know. We do not know, but we do know. And I think I have it. Let me see if I can show it to you guys. That screen, because it was a screen shared that my friend Bodie, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, he actually did this. Yes, it's right here. Thanks to him, he screenshot this. 2,025 children didn't re-enroll in any school. Where are they? So if the numbers are correct, if they're correct, where are the 2,000 children? Did they all go off island? You know, we just don't know. So we don't know if these numbers, one, are accurate, or if they were fibbing to begin with, or if 2,000 children really did go missing. We just don't know. The other thing I want to share about the death toll, this is disgusting. So the person, the chief that was looking at first, he said the very first day they went in, they found 50 bodies. 50 in one day. So the total death toll was 101. That's impossible. I talked to an uncle who lives on Molokai. So it goes Maui, Molokai is on the right side, and Lanai is in front of Maui. So it's in front of Lahaina. So if anything was to go into the ocean from Lahaina, it would hit Lanai, the island of Lanai, prior to going out to sea. Well, a lot of people were in the water. And my uncle friend told me that his friend on Lanai said there was a lot of bodies that washed up on Lanai. Nobody said anything about those bodies. No, there was no news about that happening. Also, the other thing with the bodies is recruits. They actually had his name was Grayson Abaro. He worked for the Maui Police Department for, I think it was 12 years. And his job was to recover bodies, recover human remains from fires or any disaster. He was supposed to go in and there's a precise documentation of how you recover a human body from a fire. You have to do a GPS to show exactly where the body was found. And I'm not sure the exact all of it, but recruits were told to pick up human remains. They were not doing the GPS until after the body was moved two or three times. They didn't do the correct GPS, supposed to show the GPS exactly where the body was found. They were putting bodies into the same baggie, into the same bag. So they're saying that the death toll was 115, drops to 97. The governor said that it was because they weren't accurately counting it, the DNA, that they actually miscounted the DNA, and they were accidentally counting the DNA twice, and that's why it was 115. And then when it dropped to 97, they were accurately counting the DNA. Well, how do you accurately count the DNA if you're putting bodies into one bag? So Abara, this man who's such a sweet man, he took the Maui Police Department to court for this. And you'll never find this in the news, but he took him to court. He took him to the it was the Board of Ethics. He took him to the Board of Ethics around this action of, one, allowing recruits who had no experience picking up human remains to pick up human remains. Two, putting them in the same baggie, not doing the GPS. He had all of these reasons, and this man is a professional at his job. He was yelled at. One of the Board of Ethics people yelled at him and said, you have an issue with the police chief. He also wasn't paid. That's why he was taking the police chief to court, because he wasn't paid for what he did do. So he said he was yelled at because he was said, you have an issue because you haven't been paid, and now you're bringing up these accusations. And this guy was yelling at him saying, we just want to move on. And I'm like thinking, your people were dishonored. There's families that don't even know if they have the right person. They don't know if they have, I don't even want to discuss if they have the full person at all. I mean, it's what happened was so horrendous. And there's so much more I could share, Chantel, but I'll just give it back to you because it's just really sad.
It is very, very sad. And what's clear to me is that there's a massive cover up here, and there's also a massive stalling going on. So I'm wondering why they aren't rebuilding, why these, surely they could even do makeshift kind of temporary homes in the meantime while they start rebuilding. Hey, I live in Africa. Okay, they do stuff like that. The African people are incredibly creative when it comes to building houses for themselves, that's for sure. And I'm wondering why this stalling is happening so long. What is the government waiting for before they rebuild? What is in Maui, Hawaii, wherever we're at, is it Lahaina, right? That they want there. Because as we know, this has not happened. This is not just the first time it happened. This has been going on since the 1800s. These land grabs have been systematically happening, right? And now suddenly the big fire that gives the attention, right, to something that's going on there. But I would love to know your take on that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So here's the thing. These tiny houses of these camps that they put people in cost $400,000 a piece for temporary housing. Temporary housing. They could have given that money to the resident and had them rebuild their whole house. $400,000 for one temporary little mobile home. And this was Ellie Cochran, who's the state representative who grew up in Lahaina, survived the fire. She's actually the person that called the fire chief. The fire chief was off island, and she calls the fire chief, and she goes, should we evacuate? And he goes, why? He was never contacted by the Maui Fire Department to tell him that there's a fire in Lahaina. She goes, there's a fire.
Do you think it was orchestrated that he was off the island that day? He might have had an emergent planned meeting, for sure, because we also misremember the lady that took the video the day before the fire. There was like a white, misty, hazy kind of thing around the island, and that video can't be found anymore. That's been scrubbed.
I have it on my YouTube channel because I took that and put it on and did a thing on it. But my channel's actually been striked and up the wazoo. I have almost 500,000 views on the arborist video that I did, showing how these trees, it's impossible for these trees not to burn. And then all of a sudden, I get all these strikes every 2 weeks, every 90 days. So I'd get a strike. It would last a week. Then I'd be in probation for, I think it was 90 days. But every single time I'd get out of probation, 2 or 3 days later, I'd get another strike. And so it was like, oh my gosh. But, absolutely. This was definitely, there's just no way that it cannot be. The Maui, I'm talking about the water, but the Maui Emergency Managing Director, he beat out, I think it was something like 14 other applicants, and he had zero emergency management experience. Zero emergency management experience, and he beats out 14 other applicants. That's like, what? There's so many things. And I want to go back to Ellie Cochran. She's the state representative for Lahaina and for Hawaii. She actually, when the fire chief said, I'll call you back, he goes, I'll call you back calls her back in 2 minutes, says, yes, evacuate. She's evacuating and she's going through, she said there was just so much smoke. It was all black. She was going through, this one road was straight. So just went straight and finally got out. She said there was fireballs. People were talking about fireballs in the sky. Like how does that happen? And let me just tell you, Lahaina sits under a volcano, under a mountain. It's protected. It rarely gets wind like it got. Like it got that wind. They call it a certain wind because it was so crazy that they said that once in a while they get these really, really crazy winds, and they're called something, and it's an ancient word in Hawaiian because it comes in a really different way. So these winds can and have happened. But this wind, you guys, was so powerful, or the fire was so powerful, it went against the wind. The fire jumped over this is great. It jumped over a construction site. There's a construction site with 2x4s, exposed 2x4s. It jumped over this whole construction site to melt the cars in the parking lot, left the trees, didn't touch the wood, didn't touch the wood that was in the construction zone. All of that was fine, but the cars next to it were all melted out, except for the trees. The trees were fine as well. There was all of these. I mean, you guys, I could keep going with the amount of extraordinary systems that happened, situations that happened that were absolutely impossible. The cops were blocking the roads. Cops were blocking the roads. In fact, the person whose stove that I showed you, unusual roadblocks. Yeah, that's right. So what happened was she looked at the fire. She saw it coming down. She ran out of her house. Thank God, her key actually stopped. Her key broke off in her car. She runs down the road. Her daughter's coming up. She jumps in her daughter's car. There's a cop that's blocking the road. And the mom says, go around him. The fire is coming. Go around him. She went around him. She was one of the last to get out of this one area that was completely fine. You know, the police chief actually denied blocking roads until there was so much testimony that said the roads were blocked. He finally admitted it, and he said, oh, it's because of the telephone poles that were down. There were no telephone poles that were down in certain areas. There was like, and I asked her, I said, were there telephone poles down? She said, no. She said she went back to her house the same exact way. There was nothing that was blocking the road. So these people, they were murdered. They were absolutely murdered. And this was not a normal thing. This was an attack on Americans. And the thing is that I wrote a 17-page affidavit that showed all of the anomalies that I could find. And I gave it to the Attorney General, the governor. I sent it to so many senators. I got nothing back. Nothing, no response. And this was definitely an attack on the people, you guys. And that's why I really feel this is some type of spiritual war. And they want that land. And I personally think they're stalling. I think, you know, there have been more built. That was a picture of 15 months after the fire. There have been homes that have been built now. But here's the thing. These houses that are being built, they're actually bigger than they used to be. And they're going to have the same problem. Ellie Cochran, she was actually telling the planning department, she goes, you guys are going to have the same exact issue. She says, you're allowing these homes to be bigger than they were. And you're going to have the same issue. People are going to be not going to be able to get out because of they're building the homes now.
Are they at least painting them blue?
Right? I know.
I think that should be law now, is that all your houses need a blue roof, and you need to drive a blue car. Seriously, because I mean it's insane to me, you know, that and it still continues, but that it's so they are open about it. The corruption, you know, it's openly happening. Why do you think Hawaii is being targeted so badly? I mean, there has to be, we understand this is a spiritual war, right? And I mean, those of us who listen to Jesse, a lot of these also the places that they target, etc. It's not really war they're after, but it's more the spiritual portals, the gates, that sort of thing. So I'm wondering if that might be the case with Hawaii.
Yeah,
Hawaii.
so Maui was set to be the first smart island. And this was in 2015. It was decided by Japanese and Hawaiian stakeholders that Maui was set to be the first smart island. No testimony by the people, nothing. They don't care what us little peons think. But that is what happened with that. Lahaina used to be the capital of the Hawaii Islands. When King Kamehameha conquered all the islands, Lahaina was our capital. And so I personally think that Lahaina was targeted because I think there is a lot of definitely what we call Mana'o energy there and frequency, but I'm not sure. It was a beautiful. I've been there, and my mother got married there. It was one of the places to go to get married. It's a heart. My thing is, I think Maui is the heart island. Big Island is the root chakra. I think Maui is the heart island. Oahu's the throat. Kauai is the crown. That's the way I kind of see the islands. But I'm not sure about that. But also, here's the thing: is there's been so many fires and so many attacks. And you said, let me show you this, because you said drive a blue car. Let me show you guys this, because this was in LA. And when you said that, it just reminded me of this. And I can also show the bodies, which is really sad thing to see, but it'll show you that this is not normal. So this they only found that one of the YouTubers who did this, he said this was the only thing left in the fire, which was a blue label in that blue car here. This Miata, okay, check this out. These two Miatas were directly across the street from each other. They were directly across the street. And one Miata is gone, destroyed, dissolved into nothing. And the other Miata blue, completely intact, with the blue trash can right next to it, not even melted. So that's kind of impossible. And so I can show just these bodies that are just not normal. I just want to do a warning a little bit for the one of them. This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. This I'll talk about the toad in a second, but how do you have a human body burn like this? You don't see the fingers or the braids in the hair. That's impossible. You have the full body. The only thing that's destroyed, this poor person was running. And also look at the way that they fell. That's not how a body falls. A human body, when it falls, the knees bent, the arms go out, they're trying to save their face. They don't just fall flat on their face like that. Their face turns. Something happened very quickly, and something happened was the ground. The ground was very hot or something, because it dissolved the feet. That's impossible. That doesn't happen. So something happened with the ground. I wish I had there was another video I should have taken a picture of, but my friend found this toad in the burn zone. He found this toad in the Lahaina burn zone when he went to volunteer. It was stolen from him. It got stolen. But I held it. I have a whole video of this toad. The insides are gone. Like it's like completely, it's petrified, basically. It petrified. It actually reminds me of Pompeii. And then check this out, because this is a dog from Maui. Okay. You can't, in a fire, it's not going to leave the fur and the ears and the nose. I mean, the paw pads. This guy was in the middle of the street. This is impossible. This is not normal. This guy I was researching stuff, and I wish I would have gotten the date, but it was during this was in Texas, in the Panhandle. There was a whole field of cows like this. Why isn't the ear burnt off. The nose, the fur, I mean, the skin is totally recognizable. That's not how things burn in a fire. That's just impossible. And so I'll stop screen, but there was also a woman whose son died. This was so sad. Her son died holding his dog. Is like he was found completely recognizable holding his dog. And the mother said, I think God left him that way so I would recognize him one last time. And I'm sorry, but that's not the way people burn in a fire. That's impossible. That's not normal. So it goes back to the microwave hypothesis is that, and I think it actually is what happened, is that organic material doesn't burn in these fires. It cooks from the inside out. There's another picture you'll find it in the book, and it's where almost half of the guy's body is petrified. His right hand is floating off the ground. The left side is normal. The left side, this is a picture. I don't have it in my screenshot in my PowerPoint, but you'll find it in the book. It's because left side's fine, right side black, petrified, right hand floating off the ground. And that's like, what? That there's like nothing that's burnt on him. And it's this I don't even know what to say sometimes. The words are like can't even speak sometimes about it.
Absolutely. And I can imagine you being hands on the ground, feet on the ground there. You've seen a lot of the stuff firsthand. And I can imagine it is so traumatizing to see that. And, it really, again, it's like kind of 9/11, right? You don't really give a rat's backside how many humans are being destroyed in your bid for power. And I mean, massive sacrifice again, if we look at it like that. And just so tragic, this little boy and his dog, right? And these kids that disappeared, for me, I'm more inclined to think for sure that if there were 3,000 odd kids and afterwards only 500 or 600 are reapplying for school again, there's something very wrong there. That's 2,500 kids just gone. I'm wondering the parents of the kids, are they still around? Has anyone been asking about these kids? Like, is there any trail? Just family, friends, parents?
That's a good question. A friend of mine who lives there and survived the fire, she said she believes the whole families died because she knows one family of 10 people that lived in one house, all of them perished. So I just don't know. I've been asked that before. I'm not sure. I do know that, again, the Hawaiians I know that there's trauma here. I know that they don't like to speak out because they don't, some of them, they don't trust the system. They don't believe it's for them anyway. They stole their land. I mean, you guys have to look at it like this. First of all, here's something that many people don't know. Hawaii was never fully annexed as a state. It actually, it's literally a military takeover in Hawaii. And that's not discussed. This is why the apology bill from Bill Clinton happened I think that was in the 90s or the 80s. I'm not sure. I think it was the 90s. The apology bill that happened is because Hawaii is still under military occupation. It's not a fully annexed state. So there is a whole nother Hawaii kingdom that's still trying to come online. A lot of infiltration with that. So that's a lot of infiltration with that situation. But I just I don't know about why more people are not speaking out about it. Some people get angry because they say that our children, we have all of our children. They don't believe that the children have perished like that. So that's a good question. I'm not sure.
That would be so. I would imagine because they would have. It's like if I think about the tsunami in Thailand, right? I mean, bodies were discovered months afterwards, and people had the opportunity of going to sort of go to Thailand and had the opportunity of pretty much seeing if that was their relative, identifying bodies, right?
Mhm.
There's just no opportunity to do that. It seems, your kid or your animal has been petrified. Half 75% of the kids have disappeared. Where did they go? Did they drown? Were they taken off in buses? Because they must hear the rumors as well, right? The
Oh yeah.
locals must know about, and they must be aware if they've had this kind of history, that this is a danger for
Mhm.
their children as well. Are they aware of this kind of stuff that goes on there? I mean, I'm
Mhm.
just interested from you as a local living there. Is this something that is discussed much?
No, it's really challenging to, like, there are some, our crew, there's a group of us that do speak out about this. I meet with about 5 other locals every Sunday to talk about what are we going to do next with the Hawaii County Council, with what's coming down for the Big Island. And I'm building a list. I'm building my list is, I created a site called standtogetherhawaii.com, and so people can go there and they can see what's going on with the general plan in Hawaii, and they can enroll. My list is only about 3,000 people. I wish it was 300,000, because we need numbers, and that's for what's coming for all of us here. And so I just want to encourage you guys listening, look at your general plan. One of the easiest ways to look at it, because ours was 300 pages, and there was 5 of us that actually took about 45 pages each to go through. Normally our Big Island general plans are 50 to 70 pages long, but this was 300 pages. But I just want to encourage your audience, use ChatGPT, go in and say, does my county's general plan, and put in your county's name, violate the Constitution? What amendments does my general plan violate in the Constitution? And it brought back numerous things for our general plan. So it's really helpful to use that. Because the reason I'm saying that is because what's happening in Maui is coming through for all of us, even if your place wasn't attacked, through our general plan. That's how they're going to be taking away freedoms. That's how they're going to be taking away private property, is through those plans. But I don't, the people, I love Hawaii so much. It actually has taught me how to be more kind and more aloha, because I get fiery, if you haven't noticed, especially with stuff.
Pono pono.
And
I love that pono pono.
the one thing with that is I love it for that. And sometimes it's hard to get them to talk about the real stuff. Like, some of them will talk to me, and some of them just won't. They just don't even want to talk about it. And but I really feel the more that we talk about things like that, and also sharing about what's happening in our local communities, the more that we talk about it, the more we
Absolutely.
to talk about it.
Well, I really appreciate you talking about it and doing everything that you are doing to keep this topic alive. We are hit with so many distractions and psyops at the moment that it's so easy to forget things like this that are hugely, cataclysmically tragic and deserve our attention. And to see, we're human beings. We need to stand up for our fellow being. And
Yeah.
that, and this to me is why we need to keep topics like this very much alive and speaking about it. So I want to just encourage our viewers, please, guys, just like, share, subscribe, get this information out. These are people that are, wow. And, I just get this feeling when you were saying as well, they won't speak to you about it, is there's such a deep pain there, man. It's like they can't talk.
That's right.
Because if they had to talk, they would just weep.
That's right.
They would never stop weeping. And
Yeah.
I think maybe that's kind of what needs to happen, just to release that. And that's why we have to talk about this, to release that.
Yeah, and I want to share this around that too, is because there's Hawaii homelands that are supposed to give the Hawaiians back some land. Like, there's people that are on this list for decades. And then when they die, it doesn't transfer always to their children, because they have to be a certain percentage. So that's why I think they're waiting it out. I think they're waiting this out because I think they created these camps to try and to wait it out and see who's going to last, is basically what has happened. A lot of people have left. And the one more thing last I'd like to share, Chantel, is around the climate change, because the whole climate change narrative is also meant to box us in more rules, more regulations, and over 2,000 credentialed scientists have signed a World Climate Declaration. You can go to World Climate Declaration, just put that into your URL, World Climate Declaration, and you'll see a PDF that has over 2,000 credentialed signatures from scientists around the world who have stated there's no climate emergency. So it's not, the UN even now says their most catastrophic climate change or climate scenario for the world is implausible. They actually stated that this May of 2026. So that's another thing that is just, they just trying to put us into a little corral with these narratives. And it's our duty, it's our kuleana to look deeper. And you do that really well in your channel. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate you. And our guests, you always give invaluable information as well. Free man actual, they want this man. Makes perfect sense what you're saying. Yeah, resort, new world order model. So, kind of it makes sense. Just like that plan for Gaza. Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. Makes a lot of sense. Well, guys, if you'd like to get a hold of Michelle, her details are in the description below. And you're going to be back with us in 2 weeks' time as well, where we can for sure carry on with this conversation. I think there's a lot that we can still dig into, but we're going to be discussing your other book as well. Do you want to just give our viewers a little preview on what that is?
That is The Death of Freedom. This was, I wrote this because the story about Maui started to dwindle, and there's so much information in that book that I was like, I can't let this die. There has to be something more. So I really started researching how did we come to this point where it feels like all of our freedoms are just being taken away, and the United States of America is no longer. It is a United States corporation. This is why it's always the U.S. It's not the United States of America. America died in October 26, 2021 was the death of when it died. For those of you who know G. Edward Griffin, he wrote The Creature from Jekyll Island, which was a big all about the IRS and the Federal Reserve. He actually did the foreword to my book, The Death of Freedom. It was #1 on Amazon. And it basically goes through how the United States got taken over, the undisclosed experiments on the American people since the 1930s, you guys. Since the 1930s, we have been experimented on unknowingly. And it talks just about also what we can do, which is one thing we have to understand, is we have to understand the Constitution and our rights, and speak up, speak out, and don't comply.
I love that. Absolutely. Don't comply and stand up, speak out. I definitely echo that. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And wow, again, brilliant information. And guys, please like, share, subscribe, get this information out there. These are topics we definitely need to keep alive and keep talking about. So is there anything, I mean, I know you've got a channel as well. Do you want to share anything you're going to be doing? Where can people find you?
Thank you so much. Blossom Inner Wellness is my channel. Blossom Inner, INNER Wellness. You can find me on Rumble and YouTube. I still do YouTube. I'm going to be speaking at the Red Pill Expo in July in Las Vegas, 11th and 12th. So if you're in the area or if you want to come in, that's Alex Jones is going to be there, as well as a lot of other people. So that's the Red Pill, Las Vegas, 11th and 12th this July. And
Lovely. Wow.
yeah, and I just want to say I'd love to have you on my channel because your healing information is valuable, and that's actually what I feel is needed right now, is helping people to ground and drop in. I have a Blossom Inner Wellness path that I take people on that helps people to get off the internet, get in nature, ground. Remember, you are part of the earth. Did you know your heart?
Absolutely.
The word heart and the word earth use the exact same letters. They're
absolutely
just, and that's not by accident.
Well, I believe, nature or earth. Nature is God in action. The God being the invisible, the masculine force, the thought that creates, right? Mm-hmm. And this is what God has created, is nature. So nature is God in action. And when we harmonize with nature, this is when we get back to God. Actually, like nature is my church. I'm born and bred on the farm girl. And my father always said, nature is my church. He would not set foot in a church.
I love it. And he shouldn't. In fact, Jesus actually destroyed the temple. It's like he actually said, you don't need these structures.
I am so grateful to my parents for that. My gosh. Although I must say, I often wonder because my father when he was little, he was sent to the Catholic convent. And I often wonder what happened there. And I probably just as well, I don't know, because it would be haunting me to this day. So thank you so, so much. And yes, nature is your church. We just to sit on a rock and just relax. And, as you say, and I love what you're doing as well, because as a healer, I've been a healer for 30 years. And, coming on to starting Aquarius Rising Africa and just really sitting with the most depraved stories ever. It's difficult to not be affected by what craziness is going on. And in order for us to be of value, and I don't mean we're not of value, but like really healers, a healer is not someone who fixes you. A healer is someone who enables a stabilizing force. They emanate a stabilizing force that kind of gives you permission, I guess, to activate your stabilizing force, because we all have that. God is stability. God is anchoring. God is be still and know that I am God. Mm-hmm. And when we do that, that's my favorite Bible verse. I don't know the Bible very well. Everyone knows that, but I know a few verses, and that's my favorite. Be still and know that I am God. Because when you go into that silent mode and full coherence with your creator, mm-hmm. the inspiration, it's that it's like this amazing orchestra of harmony that you just know what you know, and you just follow that. And the more of us, and that's why I do the protective patterning series, because it's so important that we do harmonize and our nervous system, right? Because the nervous system is what we've been programmed to protect ourselves from and with. And the more we have our protective ways, the less we're going to get in alignment with God Most High, because then we continue to follow the protection, the fear, and that's limited. So we've got to be in our fullness. And thank you so much for what you do.
The Bible says, fear not, 365 times, one for every day. Wow. That's not an accident. Yeah. So mahalo again for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Like, share, subscribe if you enjoy the content. And for those of you who recently joined as members, really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Without you guys, honestly, we could not do what we do. So appreciate you very much. God bless you all. And have yourselves a beautiful weekend. Michelle, we will see you back in 2 weeks' time. Yay.
Much aloha, everyone, and mahalo.
Take care, everybody. Mwah. If this broke something open, if you recognized yourself in the testimony, if your body responded before your mind understood, the next step isn't more information. It's pattern work. Decode what your nervous system built to survive. Dismantle the story that keeps it running. Reorganize through the body and choose, actually choose, from the person you're becoming, not from the pattern that formed when you were too small to choose. That's Solutions. Link below. The body is the record. Let's listen.